500 million. I mean, just take a second to really process that staggering number. That is the estimated number of deaths caused by the smallpox virus in a single century. 500 million people just gone. To put that into perspective, our source material notes you could compare that to the roughly 150 million deaths caused by all warfare during that exact same period. Smallpox was this ancient, terrifying force of nature. But today, we're not just tracing a tragedy, we are reliving one of humanity's absolute greatest triumphs. Welcome to today's Explainer. I am so thrilled to be your guide. We are going to unpack a seriously gripping, true story of medical conquest, but we're doing it with a unique twist. We're going to use this incredible history to actually power up your daily communication skills. By digging into the precise words used to describe this monumental event, you'll gain a much deeper understanding of both the English language and human history. It's going to give you some really powerful new tools to express yourself.
So, here's our roadmap for today's Explainer. 1. A deadly historical affliction. 2. Launching the impossible mission. 3. Vanquishing the global threat. 4. Beyond the medical world. And 5. The final word workout.
Chapter 1. A deadly historical affliction.
Author Aisha Bibulos frames the very last naturally occurring case of smallpox on the planet with some striking language. She writes, "The victim of the disfiguring and sometimes deadly affliction was a young man in the East African country of Somalia." Now, this happened back in 1977. Thankfully, after getting prompt treatment, he survived. But notice her specific choice of words here. This brings us to our first vocabulary mystery to solve today: affliction. The word affliction is a noun, and it means a physical ailment or a cause of pain, trouble, or misfortune. And honestly, that brilliantly captures exactly what smallpox was for over 3 millennia. Our source gives us synonyms like illness, woe, torment, and anguish. When you're thinking about a highly contagious virus that left its victims disfigured or worse, torment and woe hit the nail on the head. It wasn't just a sickness, it was a devastating misfortune for humanity. It's a fantastic word you can easily use today to describe any deep, ongoing struggle.
Which brings us to the mindset of the actual medical professionals staring down this global plague. Imagine for a second facing a disease that's present in 59 countries, infecting an estimated 10 million people annually, with a 1/3 fatality rate. It's mind-boggling. Our text states, for many of those meditating a global attack on smallpox, their intentions and hopes must have seemed wan and weak indeed.
Notice that word wan. It's an adjective meaning unnaturally pale or sickly looking, lacking vitality, dim, faint, weak, or ineffectual. The really crucial point here is how this word operates on 2 completely distinct levels in our narrative. Physically, sure, the victims of smallpox would certainly look wan, ashen, pasty, sickly. But the author is actually using it here to describe the hopes of the health workers. Facing an enemy that had never been defeated before worldwide, their hopes were dim, they were faint, they lacked vitality. Even the Director General of the World Health Organization thought global eradication might be a completely inflated goal.
Section 2. Launching the impossible mission.
So in 1959, smallpox was just running rampant across Latin America, Asia, and Africa. Yet in January 1967, a team from the World Health Organization, led by American epidemiologist Dr. D.A. Henderson, refuses to listen to conventional wisdom and just sallies forth anyway. And remarkably, by 1980, the World Health Organization officially declares the disease eradicated. Our source text from 2012 actually marked the 35th anniversary of that very last case we talked about in Somalia. They pulled this off in just over a decade of active, targeted campaigning. No way, right?
But the text asks a vital question, and it's one we should all probably ponder. How did a single agency of the United Nations with very little money and only a limited, meager staff vanquish this killer disease? This was literally the ultimate underdog story. Dr. Henderson's team was not some massive, endlessly funded army.
They were a meager staff. Meager, as an adjective, means poor, scant, unsatisfactory, thin, or slight. Synonyms are scanty, skimpy, and sparse. Think about the last time you had to tackle a massive project at work or school with barely any resources. That is a meager setup. Now imagine trying to cover the entire globe, traveling to the most remote corners of the earth to deliver freeze-dried vaccines. Having a meager budget and a meager number of personnel is a monumental handicap.
And yet their ultimate goal was to vanquish the disease. To vanquish is such a powerful verb. It means to defeat in a battle or contest, to overthrow, or to overcome a feeling or condition. They weren't just trying to manage smallpox or maybe slow it down a bit. They were trying to conquer it entirely. They wanted to beat it into complete non-existence.
The stakes become even clearer when we look at the formidable obstacles they had to navigate. Our source lists them out, and it is daunting, to say the least. They faced deep skepticism from senior officials who thought it was literally impossible. They dealt with broken-down vehicles and roads in terrible disrepair. They had to navigate active war zones and face intense cultural opposition to vaccination. There were insane geographical barriers, like large mountainous areas in Ethiopia that you could only access by foot or muleback. And they were oppressed by drought, famine, and moving tides of refugees. Yet they kept tracking infections, and they kept isolating the virus.
Part 3. Vanquishing the global threat. The outcome was so spectacular that our author writes, "The story of the eradication of smallpox might seem like a hoax if it were not for the fact that it is entirely true." Just imagine living in a world where millions died every single year, and then suddenly, within a little over 10 years, the threat is just gone.
It's really no wonder it felt like a hoax. A hoax, as a noun, is an act intended to trick or deceive, a fraud or a ruse. As a verb, it means to trick or deceive. We hear about internet hoaxes all the time today, but back then, this medical victory was so unprecedented in human history that it genuinely strained belief. People might have legitimately thought it was a deception or some fake claim, but it wasn't. It was 100% real.
The worldwide relief and celebration was absolutely palpable. In May 1980, World Health magazine published a cover with 3 bold words: "Smallpox is dead." Our text describes the gala celebration, this festive grand public entertainment event held at the WHO headquarters in Geneva, Switzerland, to officially declare the eradication. After 3,500 years, a cosmopolitan and impartial killer that took the lives of emperors and commoners alike was finally, permanently gone.
Section 4. Beyond the medical world.
Now, our vocabulary source doesn't just stick to nonfiction. It bridges into classic literary texts as well. Consider this excerpt from Hans Christian Andersen's famous fairy tale, The Emperor's New Clothes. The text reads, "He went to the crafty impostors, who, as soon as they were aware of the emperor's approach, went on working more diligently than ever, although they still did not pass a single thread through the looms."
The key word here is impostors. An impostor is a swindler, a deceiver, one who uses a false name or character in order to cheat. Synonyms include cheat and trickster. Do you see the connection to our earlier word? An impostor is exactly the kind of person who would perpetrate a hoax. By learning words in clusters of meaning like this, hoax, deception, impostor, you are building a deeply interconnected vocabulary network in your brain. That makes accessing the right word in everyday conversation completely effortless. Finally, Section 5, the final word workout.
Let's look at the target word gaudy, which means flashy, showy, or not in good taste. Sometimes the absolute best way to grasp a word is through its opposites. The antonyms for gaudy are restrained, quiet, sober, and sedate. If you picture that gala celebration we talked about, a beautifully restrained dress is the exact opposite of a loud, vulgar, gaudy outfit. Understanding this contrast really locks the meaning right into your memory.
Next, we'll explore synonyms using the target word cosmopolitan. The text describes the smallpox virus as a cosmopolitan and impartial killer. Cosmopolitan means found in most parts of the world or of worldwide scope. The synonyms listed are global, international, and polished. While we wouldn't exactly call a virus polished, we absolutely understand it as a global, international threat. Seeing these synonyms proves that cosmopolitan isn't just a word for sophisticated city dwellers. It describes anything with a truly worldwide footprint.
I want to leave you with a provocative thought, inspired directly by the writing prompts in our source material. Imagine you were working back in 1967. If you faced such formidable obstacles, the terrible roads, the war zones, the deep skepticism, and those incredibly meager resources, would you have the gratitude to join Dr. Henderson and the WHO team, or would the challenge seem too oppressive to even try? It's a fascinating question of history, humanity, and now, thanks to our explainer today, a question you have the exact vocabulary to answer. Thank you so much for learning with me today, and keep exploring.